We often think of corporate misconduct as this shadowy, highly coordinated operation, right? Like something out of a spy movie, hidden behind locked doors and encrypted hard drives. But what happens when the truth spills out just because someone forgot to press a button on their desk phone? Well, today in this explainer, we are breaking down a real internal misconduct report that honestly reads like a script from a workplace thriller, and it all centers around one completely inadvertent technology slip-up.
Okay, let's dive right into the source document itself. It's an official misconduct report, or in Malay, a laporan salah laku pegawai. It documents the suspected receipt of an unauthorized gift by a director of the Corporate Communications Center. We're just going to call them the PKK for short. Now, what makes this document so fascinating is its incredibly clinical, objective tone. There's no sensationalizing here. It just coldly states the facts, the context, and the really severe implications of what was uncovered. So our goal today is to unpack exactly what's written on this page step by step.
So, to understand why this is such a big deal, we got to start with the baseline. Let's rewind to July 2024. The PKK, which is located over at the Chancellery Building, officially procures and installs a brand new television. And honestly, everything here is completely by the book. An official supplier is appointed, and the receipt of this TB is formally recorded in all the administrative paperwork. It is a completely standard, fully documented public asset acquisition. It's basically a pristine paper trail. Actually, scratch that. That perfect paper trail is exactly what makes the next series of events so incredibly alarming.
Right. So here is the timeline. Shortly after that official installation, the PKK director makes a totally routine call to the supplier. They just needed to discuss some necessary adjustments for the new TV. Standard post-installation follow-up stuff. But at the very end of this call, things take a massive turn. Out of nowhere and completely by accident, the supplier reveals the existence of a second television, a TV that literally does not exist anywhere in the official paperwork.
Now you're probably wondering, how did this slip-up actually get caught? Well, a simple speakerphone mistake. When the director called the supplier, they used the speakerphone function on their office phone. And they did this right out in the open office environment. It's a habit a lot of us have, right? You dial the number, hit speaker, and kind of tidy up your desk while it rings. But because the audio was just blasting out loud in the room, the conversation was definitely not private. If it wasn't for that one seemingly harmless choice to use the speakerphone, this whole secret would have stayed buried strictly between the director and the supplier. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how fast things can unravel. Right at the tail end of the call, the supplier just blurts out this highly specific phrase. According to the official report, they stated that one more TV unit, akan dihantar ke kiriaman Banggara PKK, which translates to, will be sent to the PKK director's residence. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. During a call about a completely official, publicly funded office TV, the supplier just casually drops that they are delivering a totally separate unit directly to the personal home of the exact government official who oversaw the purchase. Wild, right?
So we're left with this incredibly stark contrast. On the one hand, you've got the first TV unit at the Chancellery Building. Its purchase is fully documented, and it firmly belongs to the organization. But on the other hand, you have this ghost unit. This second TV is slated for the director's personal house, but it is entirely absent from any official procurement records or admin letters. It's like it doesn't exist on paper. Which begs the question, how on earth does an official supplier end up sending an expensive piece of electronics to a director's house completely off the books? Well, the report has a name for this. It calls it an unauthorized reward, or imbuhan tidak sah. Because there's absolutely zero official paperwork for this second TV, the logical deduction in the misconduct report is that it's a personal gift from the supplier. And look, in the public service, when a vendor privately gifts high-value items to the exact official overseeing their contracts, that crosses a major line. It moves from a standard business relationship straight into suspected bribery. It's that total lack of documentation that elevates this whole thing from a simple misunderstanding to a very, very serious allegation.
But we really need to shift our focus away from just the television itself and look at the much heavier implications here. Because in public administration, the specific item, whether it's a TV, a watch, or whatever, rarely matters as much as the breach of protocol it represents. The report explicitly details that this isn't just about getting a piece of electronics back. It's about the foundational integrity of the entire institution. Just one unchecked act like this, it sends a shockwave through the system. It completely compromises trust and honestly opens the door to systemic corruption.
If proven true, this single, undocumented TV triggers an absolute cascade of formal violations. The report outlines 5 major breaches. We're talking about abuse of power for personal gain, a direct breach of public service conduct, and violating some very strict Treasury circulars regarding government officials receiving gifts. On top of all that, it creates a massive conflict of interest for any future supplier evaluations. Ultimately, a single slip-up like this can cause catastrophic damage to the organization's reputation and absolutely tank the image of the public service as a whole.
So the crucial point is this. Right now, these remain suspicions. They are very serious suspicions based on highly credible but circumstantial overheard evidence. The document concludes with a really clear mandatory directive. An internal investigation, or a siyasatan dalaman, absolutely must be conducted. The administration can't just ignore what was heard by the staff, but they also have to follow due process. So investigators are going to need to verify supplier invoices, interview the witnesses who overheard the speakerphone call, and ultimately figure out if that second TV actually made it to the director's house.
It's crazy to think that this entire potential scandal was only brought to light because of one fleeting moment of carelessness, just a single button pressed on a desk phone. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If it takes a totally random accidental speakerphone broadcast to catch such a blatant conflict of interest, well, how many quiet deals go completely unnoticed when people actually remember to keep their doors closed and their phones off speaker? It's a pretty stark reminder that organizational integrity often hangs by the thinnest of threads. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep your eyes and ears open out there.